What is going on, everyone? My name is Jared Haas, and welcome back into another edition of NASCAR Mailbox. This weekend, we're going to take a look back after the questions after this weekend's race at Talladega Superspeedway. And now this first question comes from Justin9528. They ask, why didn't Riley help Deegan out? Herbst left Deegan hanging out to dry. Now, in the final lap of the NASCAR Xfinity Series race, Hailie Deegan was up in front in the middle lane ahead of Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst made the pass around Hailie Deegan, dropping her back. Now, I think the biggest reason why Herbst didn't want to help out Hailie Deegan is Riley Herbst wants to win this race. And, he finished second. He got through quite a few of those cars. So he definitely had a car that was fast enough to get there. But I think the bigger reason, part of the reason why too, is you had Hailie Deegan. She wasn't running up front for most of this race. Now, who were the four drivers that were all drafting together up front? You had Cole Custer, you had Ryan Sieg, and you had Riley Herbst. Those 4 drivers were working together, as you had, like another example, Parker Kligerman, Austin Hill, and Jesse Love all working together. So it could have been a part not trusting Hailie Deegan, as she's a rookie in the Xfinity Series. Her car wasn't up front during the race. And like I said, there's some teams that their strengths and weaknesses. And it seems like AM Racing doesn't have the strength at super speedways this season to compete. Last season was more of an outlier. Brett Moffitt competed well, but Hailie Deegan, whether it's lack of experience or lack of equipment, couldn't keep up with the speed of Riley Herbst, where Riley Herbst said he would rather, he thought he would rather pass her than help her to get to the win. So, everything's fair in love and war in the last lap. And now this next question comes from Miguel Hy, 2829. He asked, why doesn't Fox go side by side for every commercial break? Why only 3 or 4 times a race? Yesterday's commercials were intolerable. Now, I want to plug in our Happy Hour podcast. They talk more in depth of this issue that's live on this Front Stretch YouTube channel. But I will give the basics of it, that you got to realize this. You live by TV, you die by TV. And if you look at Talladega TV ratings, they're usually about 1 million more people watch this race than a typical NASCAR season. Usually they were right around 3 million, and this previous Talladega race had a little over 4 million. So advertisers are going to pounce on that opportunity to make sure they're in front of the most fans as they can. So they're going to advertise on these big ticket races first, then fill out those races later. And some of those advertisers are going to want a full screen commercial compared to just the side-by-side commercial, where it's a smaller commercial, fills up a little bit more of the space than the commercial itself, but they want that point to stand that they want the full screen commercial. And you've also too got local affiliates that host this NASCAR event. Your local affiliates, whether you live in, like I said, Los Angeles, New York, whatever, they're going to have their sponsorships to fill in well. One of the big reasons why we're kind of seeing this barrage, and the last time we saw that was the 2023 Daytona 500, where Fox was getting grief for having these commercials, is realizing this, that Daytona 500, pretty big viewership, so they're going to have a lot of sponsors wanting to come in and pay to be on the TV broadcast, and Talladega the same way. There's more viewership in that, and we saw the same complaints there. Now, why didn't we see it with this year's Daytona 500? Well, it was rain out. So we didn't hear that from Daytona. This is our first bigger event that wasn't rained out. And it's a struggle because, again, it's a lot harder to be a couch producer compared to a couch racer. There's definitely a lot of moving parts in that, trying to figure out what's the best way to, when to throw it to commercial, when to go full screen, when to go side by side. But in reality, it is the advertisers which pay for, the employees of Fox or NBC or whoever hosts the race. They're the ones that have to make sure they're able to do this for a living. So that's why you see a little bit more advertisements at like Talladega and Daytona, is because these advertisers are paying more because they're in front of more bigger audience. Thank you very much for watching. As always, like and subscribe. That really helps us out here getting this content to you. And as always, make sure to have a great race weekend.
Hey everyone, Zane Smith, driver number 38 Ford for Front Row Motorsports. Be sure to subscribe to Front Stretch on YouTube.